Today's going to be a pretty laid-back, unscripted video with Pokemon being played in the background and just my unfiltered opinion on the recent riots, Black Lives Matters, and things like that. If you're not into political discussions and you want this to be a strictly gaming type of channel, I completely understand that, and I too agree with that. However, something happened last night which draws my attention and makes this related to gaming. Pokemon supports Black Lives Matter. Yes, I promise you this is true. No clickbait, no lie. So stay tuned if you want to hear my thoughts and opinions on this whole situation. Generally speaking, this channel stays away from political uprisings and the current events just due to the simple fact that I want to remain gaming, and gaming only. When people come to my channel, I want them to know that they're going to see content based around Pokemon and or video games. That's just how it is. That's how I feel. Now, Pokemon seems to have forced my hand where they were talking about supporting Black Lives Matter over on Twitter, and they put out a statement, so we're going to go ahead and discuss this. Here at the Pokemon Company International, we believe in friendship, inclusivity, and equity. These are the values that anchor the Pokemon brand. There is no place for oppression within our community. We stand in solidarity with our Black employees, fans, families who continue to be impacted by systemic racism and senseless violence. We will be making a $100,000 donation to the NAACP and a $100,000 donation to Black Lives Matter. Our commitment is to you is ongoing, and our support will be as well. And at the bottom, emboldened, we believe that Black Lives Matter. Pokemon. So this is an interesting turn of events because it wasn't just like Nintendo themselves, it was the Pokemon Company, so it's very strange that they would tweet something out like this. I'm not saying that what they are doing isn't good or nice or supporting a good cause. This company doesn't really do anything but Pokemon. They never talk about anything but Pokemon. So this is very, 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 very strange that they would put this out on Twitter and they would endorse this. Now, my thoughts about all of this is that it's great that the Pokemon Company is all for equality, especially in America, because you cannot discriminate based upon color, sex, race, religion, a multitude of things. We have a lot of employment standards. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, none of that matters because there's systemic oppression and it's all in the system. There's systemic racism, there's systemic oppression, and it's all because it's stuck in the system. And to that I would 100% agree. I would say absolutely there's probably people out there who have private thoughts that they never tell anybody, and they feel a certain way about certain people, and they're very bad people. They think horrible things, and they think horrible things about a lot of people, right? So you're not ever going to change that. That's just impossible. People say, oh, well, change with education. No, change comes from inside. A person who does not want to be racist will stop being racist. Do you understand what I mean with that? They're not magically going to say, I'm going to stop hating an individual person based on nothing more than what they appear because you told me to, right? They're not going to do that. A lot of racism is taught. A lot of racism is learned over the years. I know where I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in the backwoods, middle of nowhere, right? So really, I'm surrounded by a bunch of country bumpkin hillbillies, right? I've been around the world. I was in the military. I've seen it all. I've served with Middle Easterns. I've served with Cubans. I've served with Islanders. I've served with blacks, whites, Asians, Haitians. I've seen it all, baby, right? So I have no problem with any type of race whatsoever. But my neighbors, they might not be the same way. But here's the thing. Most of them, whenever this stuff happens, whenever there's riots, whenever there's a rise up against the system, they want to be left alone. They're the checkered wearing, jean wearing, boot wearing, dip using, shotgun having type of people who say, yeah boy, you know, stuff like that. They're the typical hillbilly. And they just want to be left alone. They don't care, man. They don't care about the riots happening in cities because they live in the middle of nowhere. And some of you might say, well, that's the problem. They need to care. They need to get on board. They need to help out. Maybe they do. But then the question that becomes very apparent to me after that is, what do you do with the system afterwards? If Pokemon is correct, and there is systemic racism in some way, shape, or form, what do you do with the system afterwards? Let's just say all these rioters in the streets, they go to the police stations, kill all the corrupt police. Kill all the police, because how can we tell if any of the police are genuine and not corrupt? How can we tell that, right? Let's just say, for talking sakes, all of them are dead, okay? There's no more police. They storm the White House. They take out the politicians. All of the politicians are gone, okay? Now, what is the system? What is the system that goes into place, right? Where is there a system that is not corrupt? There's plenty of systems that look great on paper, but in practice, there is no perfect thing because we live in an imperfect world. People will eventually become corrupt. People get corrupted by power. They get corrupted by desire. They get corrupted by money. And all of these things come with holding some type of government position. So the question remains, if we do tear down the system, then what system do we put in place? And then some people will say, well, we don't have to tear down the system. But here's the problem. If we keep the current system that we have, if we keep things as they are, then there's still going to be some type of systemic oppression, systemic racism. So then how do you get rid of that without it coming back, without there being more corruption that comes into that system? And that's the questions that bother me the most. Senseless rioting against places, destroying malls, destroying targets, making your cities look like they're burnt out factories. People are very, very scared about their homes being looted. This is not going to change a lot. It's just making these people look like very, very bad people. If you recall, there was a big story put out about Jake Paul being in the riot. And if you didn't know, Jake Paul is worth $19 million, right? So he's out there making some kind of statement, right? He's really changing hearts and minds out there, right? But if you see the video of him rioting, he just seems like a young jackass. A lot of people do this stuff. They will see people who are really fighting for a cause, and then they'll get involved, they'll jump in, but then they'll start doing very reckless, negative behaviors, negative things. And even if the whole group, the collective of people who are protesting peacefully, go and grab a lot of the people who are doing the destructive behaviors, it still only takes a very handful of people to destroy that cause and that viewpoint. What is going to change in the future from a lot of these protests and riots? Maybe we will introduce some more legislation that will help equality, right? That would be nice. But what legislation doesn't exist right now that needs to exist to help equality? Because my major is not in government history or politics. Okay, I am training to be a chaplain, not a historian, not a politician, not a lawmaker, not a lawyer. So I don't know. But as far as I'm aware, currently, there is nothing out there that prevents anyone from going and doing whatever they want in America. A lot of people will say it's not about that. It's about people's viewpoints. It's about how people are racist. It's about how people are raised. And I got to tell you, I don't think destroying cities is going to change that. I don't think protests are going to change that. I don't. I'm not sure what this is going to gain from people. I'm not sure how these protests are going to change people's hearts and minds to not be racist anymore, to not be prejudiced, to not be sexist, to not just be evil. People are inherently evil. You cannot stop it. You can stop their actions, but you'll probably never be able to stop their thoughts. Maybe some of these protests will change the way that people are educated, but the education system would absolutely need an overhaul. When we have people who play basketball making billions, and we have teachers who have to get second jobs and live inside their vehicles to survive, you got something wrong with the education system. That's probably point number one that needs addressed. And that's probably where it begins. Because when you send your kids to school and they're educated about things that happen in American history and why people view things the way they view them, that's really the ground basis for how people view the rest of the world. I think a lot of people should serve. I think serving in the military will wake a lot of people up. If you're a racist and you go into the military and you have to serve alongside a multinational type of army, that'll change your mind. When the slightly brown Cuban next to you is the only one who's going to watch your back in the foxhole and you're under attack in a forward operating base, you're probably going to stop being racist real fast and hope to God that this guy isn't going to kill you and you're going to make it out alive and make it back home to the people who matter to you. So that's really what I want to wrap this video up with. I want to finish it with one final statement here. I watched a YouTube video once long ago where this guy went around and interviewed people from a country over in Russia that is somewhat separated from Russia, but at that point in time, when the people were living there, they were under Russia and communism. And when communism fell, they were excited that they were liberated and they were free. But here, 20-some years later, when they were being interviewed, a lot of the people said that they could not get everything that they used to get with communism, and that communism was a better system for them, even though it had some flaws. That the new system introduced a lot of corruption, that a lot of the leaders had recently made off with over $1 million to help their country's infrastructure and stuff like that, and that they would have preferred to go back to communism. So the question I leave with every single person is, what system could be put in place that doesn't already exist that would fix all of this? And what infrastructure would be changed to fix all of this? Because you're never going to change an individual's mind who is 100% free to think whatever they want. They're going to always think what they want to think, and that's all there is to it. So I've been here as Protomario, and I want to know what you think about Pokemon supporting Black Lives Matter. Do you think it's a good decision? Do you think it's a negative one? You let me know in the comments down below. I want to really give a big shout out to my Patreon subscribers who support me, and you, ladies and gentlemen. This felt like talking about this as it's reaching a really, really crazy point in time. I've never seen Pokemon support a cause like this. This is wild, huh? It's nuts. Big companies getting behind this. Anyways, you guys have yourselves a great day. As always, good gaming. God bless. And I'll see you in the next one.